I'm excited to find out that this will be my debut listen of the Smile because apparently Spotify does not support that song.
Oh,
So
really? Really? This
it
is
has
gonna be your
been
first listen. Okay.
yeah, it has gone
Okay.
right into I Feel Voxish without me really
Oh,
even noticing or paying
okay.
attention. But
Okay. This will be
yeah.
fun then. This will be fun for everyone involved because we're flipping the record over, we're getting our heads on straight, but now I wanna just let's just let it sink in because your head is gonna go somewhere after this one. Let's listen to Smile.
Tight, faded, male ass, decadence and anarchy. He said, he smiled. Something to dance to, a certain style, smiles. Smile!
How's your head feeling after your first smile?
I'm disappointed. I don't
Hmm.
think not in the song that I've been missing out. I would have been a great addition to the repeat plays I've been going through. I mean, it's probably been daily on at least once a day at least a couple of the songs, and I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, you were looking at a seven track listing from the fall and not being like, huh, something might be wrong
I,
here.
I just thought it was playing the full. I was just happy if I caught it without playing all the singles that they attached on the end of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If I stopped at Hex Definitive Strafe Knot, I was happy. Otherwise, I was in the middle of Kicker Conspiracy, and I'm like, where does this fit in this album?
Yeah.
Why am I listening? I was like, oh, gotta suppress stop or just
Well,
finish,
we
just finish.
we like it proper. We like it proper, as everyone has come to realize. But so what do you what do you take from this one? How do you like it as like leading off? You flipping the record over, putting it on, and whoa.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, nothing like it ended like, but it does make me happy to. I mean, obviously, I've listened to it, but it would make me happy hearing it and knowing that that's not what I'm hopefully going to get for the rest of the experience. Like, is that it's surprising it's a one-off, the Hotel Blodell, but then you're like, okay, it was a one-off, and I'm going to get back into what I
Yes.
enjoy. And
Yes.
that definitely gets you right back into the pit of the
The
performance.
fall.
Yeah, the fall. You're pushing the guy next to you. I would definitely like to know if this is an who this was about. I feel like Mark would have just could use this as an insult to anybody, be like, "Oh yeah, Smile's about you, you asshole. Get the fuck out of my face."
It is very cutting. It is very in your face. It is very much like a march toward, I feel like it's like even though it is not like an aggressive, overly aggressive, cutting edge song, I feel like they are sawing he is sawing someone's head off. I actively feel like there's a march towards this razor blade saw this buzz mill sound that is definitely going to just lop it off, but this is just the march towards it because he's cutting it off. He might be even taking limbs off as they're going towards it because it is such a cutting thing. And he's asking questions too. It's not like he's telling you what it is. He's asking questions throughout, right?
Yeah,
Right?
he wants you to realize how big of a phony asshole fraud you are
Oh
yourself. He
yeah.
doesn't want to tell you. He
Yeah.
wants you to look in the mirror and be like, "Oh shit."
Or too fancy. Like there's some sort of vibe of him thinking something's like too fancy or like trying to be a high class. This is of the lower class, just cutting someone up that thinks they're just over the top, like better than someone because they know something or they think they know something. Well, let's just start at the top because any song that starts with the line tight faded male ass, they're gonna catch my ear right away. They're gonna catch my ear. I know I know, Steve, you as a big fan of Allen Ginsberg will just, that's just getting you into a zone where, like, what's coming next? Decadence and anarchy. He said, he smiled. That is some poetry. Now, where are we going? Probably to a cellar, probably to a club that a fancy club. And then we even go to Texas and think about asking a question in Texas that might be proper, but it might get you in trouble. Like that's when Mark is almost, I think he's almost kind of calling this person out, say, like, you think you're so, high up
Yeah, you
there and
think
you
you're so hip
all
and
knowing, yeah,
cool,
it's been
and
cool. Would you do that? Would you do that? And if you did that, there's going to be pain. There's going to be there's going to be some sort of dark entity that's going to be coming if you don't play your cards right because you think you got all of the answers. Hmm. And he says, "Go on, you can do it." Also, what do you picture when he says the line, "Take the chicken run. Take the chicken run to the toilet." What is he trying to get at there? Because that line always gets me.
yeah, I mean, is he like, are you like escaping the club? Are you running out of it? What are you? Is it
Hmm.
the hallway to the toilet? Yeah,
Yeah, it's like an entrance. Like that's what I'm thinking. He says take the chicken run, which is kind of like a chicken ramp, like chicken.
yeah,
Um,
like a fenced in area for the
yeah,
chickens, right?
yeah, and take it to the toilet, almost like I want you to use that to take yourself, because you're just like a chicken, maybe a chicken with their head cut off. I want you to have a clear little hallway right to the shitter, right where you need to go in there and talk your game, talk what you know about in there. It's so fun. I have no idea what he's talking about.
No, like always,
It's so
it
good.
starts to make sense, and you're like, okay, I get it, and then it just falls apart in your hands, and you're like, okay, maybe I didn't.
I don't want to beat it home, but how about that fucking drum snare just rolling along the whole time? It is it's hypnotic. It's so big too. The way they recorded it with those
Yeah,
guys,
and when
oh,
he
it sounds so
starts,
huge.
yeah, then especially the ending when he's yelling up, 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 and they just get louder and louder and
Yeah.
louder, and you're like, oh man,
It's like the slowest crescendo, but it's so steady that they have to have a place to go to because it's over 5 minutes long. They have to have a place that they're going to, so they can't build it up. They can't even do a little swell. They have to go slow, slow, nice and low, and then just let it explode.
yeah, and I like
Ye-
it when it on his ups, like there's no like mixing of it. It's just him yelling louder and louder and louder, right?
Mhm,
Like you could have seen how they could have distorted that in any sort of way and
mhm.
really made it pop, but he can
He
just
could
do it.
have.
He could have just done it himself, right? Like
Yeah, he could have started yelling. He could have started with the extra yelp. I love his screaming in this his Marky Smith instrument. I love it on this one. But yeah, you're right. He could have been doing it at the end, and he doesn't. And even it doesn't even end on a drum smash like a cymbals crash. It ends on a guitar. Dan 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 dan. Like it. All of the choices are just always very against are contrary to what is typical, which is wild that this became music that was in the charts at all. Not because it's so weird, but just because it's just not giving the audience anything that they're expecting as far as formulaic, even in the roughest sense of something they've heard before. I think
yeah,
that
and
is the secret.
I was just like, and then the way that they even write it and record it, it is it intentional? Is it not? But it is always well done and kind of, it feels thought out, right? Like, oh, this is how we want this one to sound.
Yeah. And I think that fall fans in general are self-flagellating people when it comes to this music because even you're almost punishing yourself. Not that it's like harsh on the ears, but you're punishing yourself and not getting the payoff so often that it makes you focus on the greater details. It kind of has a purpose. If you work it to your advantage, it has a greater purpose. That being said, as usual, we should follow it up with something a little more tuneful and catchy. Maybe one of their catchiest songs.
Yeah, I would say.
Well, since you've been listening to this one, extra.
Extra listening. Let's go. I feel Voxish.
How's your Voxish level?
I haven't sharpened my knives today, but I mean, it's one of the shorter songs, but I do feel like it could have probably been shorter.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's super catchy. I'm bopping along to it. I'm bopping along throughout the day, just even like having it in my ear. 419, maybe 350. Cut
I
20
don't
seconds off.
I don't know. I'm bobbing my head to this one the whole from the start to the end. Like I am nonstop. And I also like to put myself in Brix's shoes in the studio when this song is being recorded. Like I want to be like sitting in the control room watching the band perform this and just like I'm saying, I'm just bopping my head along and I'm like, this is how I want to start my day or end my day right here. Because it is just right. It would be a typical fall song, which would be slightly less interesting without this guitar part, which I assume is Craig Scanlon just playing this very chimey little strum, which is almost very dancey. And without that, it's just I just say it's another fall song. That's just another fall song that has that kind of that bounce along. But since it has that guitar, it is just giving it that shimmer that I need to put me into a place where I'm like, ooh, this is kind of flashy fall. This is
Yeah.
fall flashing their wares for me. And I think that from someone sitting in that control room watching them, I would have been in heaven. I would have loved it. Not to say it's their best song even on this album, but just like the vibe and the rock and rollness of it,
Yeah, you're right.
definitely.
It does have that shimmer, yeah, for sure. Where you do bop along. It's not often that you're that uplifted kind of.
The band is so tight. I think that's what it is. I think it's just it's so cohesively tight between these members that it's really just you can tell they played this one live and they were just like cutting it up. 4 minutes. That means if they played it live, it was probably a bit faster. It was a 3 minute something song.
And the lyrics are as perverted as you would imagine.
Yeah. The pillbox crisp. I don't know why that gets me every time. It's so funny. Is that a thing? Are people carrying around crisps in their little pill boxes in their handbag or in their jacket pocket? That or is that a certain type of person he's getting after?
Yeah, is it like an actual pillbox or is it maybe when were Pringles invented?
I'm being real
Is he
literal
thinking about
because
the
I've never
Pringles
heard of it.
tube?
I would just kind of take it as like literally someone's kid has a pill box, a little tiny pill box, little crisp in there.
Little
That's
potato
what I
chip.
needed at the club. We just saw some jazz and I'm just sitting in the crowd. I'm like, I'm getting kind of parched. I mean, I'm getting kind of hungry.
Little peckish. You want a
Hmm.
single couple of chip crumbs.
He does say it made me but it made me hungry, which is a great line. And then offer was not an unreasonable offer. And those lines together, and we got to hear this on the before this album came out on Appeal Session, which was the first like this would have been a nice little follow-up where like, oh yes, I was hoping they would record that one and not just say, uh, we did it on John Peel. That's good.
Yeah, it's done.
It's done. Even though no
maybe,
one really has access to John Peel recordings back then besides John Peel and the BBC. But he's like, yeah, that's recorded. That is kind of a crazy, it's crazy that he knew that it was like documented. Like he just understood it instead of being like, oh, I don't know how many people listen to it, but I should probably just record it. Like anyone else, like David Bowie or anyone else would be like, yeah, that was just a version of it, but I need to give them the proper so they'll, or even just so I'll sell more. Mark's
yeah, well,
like,
I want a
no,
cut,
it's
right?
done. Yeah. Mark's like, no, I don't need to sell that. Even though it's really good, I don't need to sell that. That's putting me in the mood for a song that is going outside of the studio because this song was not recorded in the studio. This song was they went down the road and they went over to the hacienda and recorded one track called
Tempo
Tempo
House.
House. I don't know if I can nail that together, but
Whenever I hear this song, I mean, it starts out straight classic rock, and then it just drops into some fantastic Bush, Bush guitars here.
the Gavin Rosdell Bush guitar. Oh man. It does have the sludgy bass and drums sound that you would picture from grunge.
Yeah,
So,
definite grunge. The whole song, pretty much. I hear a lot of grunge.
I mean, this was probably heavily influential.
Oh yeah, I mean, right? This.
The bass line by itself, because it's so simple. Like this, I've heard this, you hear this in so many so many songs, but they did record it. And actually, we should talk about the bass, okay? The last song has a bass line by Steve Hanley, which I would probably, if I was teaching some young kid how to play bass, I would give him that riff to do. And I'd say, I'll be back in 45 minutes. You just keep doing that same riff and you'll be good. You'll be ready to join the fall, probably in a couple days. That's such a melodic riff and high up on the scale. Paul Hanley said, I need no one was or he said he wasn't happy with the band was not happy with the bass sound that they were getting from Tempo House in the studio. They said, "What do we got to do, Steve? What do we got to do? Go to the club, record it on the stage, get it, in the room, a big room." And they said that's the version right here. I honestly think that the bass doesn't sound that big. Like on this one, it's twangy, it's thuddy, it's flabby.
It's definitely flabby. Yeah, it's not nearly as.
No, it's flabby, but not in a thick low end sound. And then you get Mark's voice that's recorded live, so then it's a little bit more muffled. And they even put it in the left eardrum, which is interesting. And the drums are even over there with Mark. And then you get the cymbals over on the other side of the sonic spectrum on your other ear. I'll just say this is not one of my favorite songs, but this is one of the few, or this is one of the handful of songs that I did hear from this album before we. The drumming is great as usual. I got no problems with the drumming through the whole album.
I can get into it being a kid of the 90s and listening to a lot of grunge aspect of it, but
Well, you got this song to thank. That's what it is. You got this
here it
song to
is.
thank.
This is what its forefather.
So this is basically folk music for grunge. This is the folk.
Folk grunge.
This is the folk grunge.
I think we should add that to Wikipedia for the fall as one of their
Folk
music,
grunge.
folk grunge.
Folk grunge genre.
Art rock, folk grunge.
Marky Smith and Neil Young together created folk grunge. Yeah, I get behind it. You can sign me up for folk grunge before anything before the 1990 happened. How do we want to wrap? Let's just wrap that one up because it's gonna be.
It's a long one. If you like long ones, it's there for you.
Yeah, that's true. If you like long songs by the quantity of the song, then that has quantity. So let's wrap it up here. We're on 8th track, and let's get into Hexen Definitive / Strife Knot.
Tied up to posts, blindfold so gone, feel maintenance, kept back, art thou that thick, death of the dim wits. Businessman hits train, businessman hits train.
Now we're talking.
I was gonna say, speaking of forefathers here, I think there's a possibly 3-person band that sounded a lot like that beginning there,
Oh yeah.
called Cougar Island.
I think all my favorite bands actually. All my favorite bands do sound like this jangle. And I was just gonna say it before we even introduced it, but this is my favorite. This is my favorite song on this album, easily. It just has everything I love about the fall and music in general. It builds up, it has a chorus that is building up again on top of itself. It has these minor chords that I love. It's all good. It's actually all minor. It's all one. It's actually a song of just two notes, which is also my favorite thing. If you do it right, if you do it thoughtfully, it's the most beautiful thing you can do. Because you can't make a song with one note, but you can make a song with 2 notes. A song with 1 note is not a song. You got to have 1 note diversion to have a melody. Even if it's not a melody, it just goes to one other place. It's perfect. What do you like? You like Hexen Definitive or Strife Knot? Because I'm not taking no for an answer. You got to pick one.
Gotta
Pick one
decide.
side. For me, it's all the same. I don't really even hear a difference, to be honest. I think that was just the lyric sheet. That was just the
It was
notebook
on the
page
sheet.
had that. Yeah.
They couldn't agree on what it should be called.
No.
They had both
Yeah.
down.
They were probably like, Mark, you already had a whole album that was Hex Induction Hour. How about we leave the Hex and stuff? Let's give it a break a little bit. Let's give the
Impossible.
Hex and stuff. No,
Impossible. Already written it down.
already written on your check. But the band said, okay, we'll put our title on too, Strife Knot. We'll put Strife Knot on at the back. You have your title, it's Hexen Definitive. Which one do you pick though? I know which one do you pick. You're picking Strife Knot as the
Yeah,
title.
I'm picking Strife
Yeah,
Knot.
you'll take any sort of knot. I like the definitiveness though, because it's the last track. That's what catches me. It could be anything else instead of Hexen. But it takes 1 hour. This is it. Oh man. It could have been on Hex Induction Hour, but I'm glad it's not. I'm glad it's by itself.
Painting a picture there. Louis Armstrong tapes waft down the aisle.
Mark only put the fall name in or the phrase the fall in the songs where he was like, this is gonna be a good one. I'm not just gonna put the fall in every or anything, any old thing.
No.
Only the good one. The way it changes at the end, I know this is got to be the Strife Knot
This
being
is Strife Knot.
tied.
Yeah.
It's great because there's no sort of bass presence, and then you get this bass coming in, and God bless him, Steve Hanley. I don't know if they just cut off his whole starting bass line through the whole song, but whatever the production decision was made, I give it to Steve Hanley to not have a big ego in any way and just be like, no, this is going to be great when I just drop in
Well, I mean, it takes grace to play second fiddle well.
Yeah. That's how you know you have a good band. If you don't have that, it's not going to be doing anything.
Having that be the final song, lay the guitar against the amp, lay the guitar against the amp, screech it off. They walk off stage. I mean, going outside for a smoke, a little bit drunk, a little bit sweaty. Man, that would feel good.
Yeah, that sounds great, but know what that sounds like to me? A fucking dream. Because you know they are not gonna make it that easy. They are not gonna give you that. They will not. That would be way too fitting. That would make you almost feel like you don't have to come back again, you know? If you get into the mindset, wow, you walk out, you said, I can't, they even ended it. They even ended that song. They didn't just just go into the ether all all individually. But this if they I'm not gonna lie, if this whole album was 8 tracks of that song, oh my God. I hate to say it, but it might raise my rating. Oh, with that sound, speaking of, I think we gotta wrap it up here for Perverted by Language, 1983 on Rough Trade Records. Steve, I've had a tough time with this one, so I'm going to throw it to you first. What are you feeling for Hex? No, not the last track, but the whole album.
No, okay. I'm gonna go
If you want to rank all the tracks individually,
individually
give them each a little Boddington's quantity. That's fine. I got all night. It's up to you.
we'll go with 6 pints, and then I'm gonna go just finish the night off, just because it made me smile, getting to hear the smile. So we'll just go with a single malt neat.
Okay.
Just a couple fingers to finish off the night.
Okay. I think that's good. Considering your album was missing
Missing
almost 20%. No. Okay, it was missing a portion of the songs. I think that's a fair rating for this one. This one for me, The Fall, they're going back to their roots kind of. They're going back to their mainstay, which is more about discipline than actual soundscapes. And it lets you focus more on the language, which is Mark, which is language that I want to get into. And it's so hypnotic that I think that the hypnotic nature of it is like a defense mechanism. So it's like trying to like push you away and say like you don't want this, this isn't for you. This isn't for you. It's almost like a force field barrier. But if you try to just like look directly into that, burn your irises a little bit, look through it, you're going to see something that makes you want to keep going forward, kind of get into that. And the middle part of this album is a great stretch. So I don't know. I feel like this has more in store for me in the future. So I'm not taking this rating very far, but I'm going to say 5.5 Boddingtons for the Perverted by Language. And I know that on the back end of that, there's only going to be kind of an after hours effect where they're going to, what do they call it in the UK? Lock in, where the pub closes and they lock everyone in. That's kind of the effect of this album where you think you're done and it's given all that, well, you've gotten all that you could get and it's given its all. But then there's an after hours effect. You're locked in there and you're forced to go deeper and you're going to realize it's probably got a couple more pints in there. So take our ratings for what they are, which are pretty legitimate.
Professional ratings. We have a system.
I was telling someone, I was like, a critic's only as good as their meaningless rating scale.
Yeah, gotta be.
And
If you're not rating it, you're not a professional.
no, all the talking is, it's pretty much just it's all, trash. It's all garbage. So they're putting the number on it, then it's quantifiable. It's actually statistically proven that that does exist. You can use all the perverted language you want, but you got to put a number on it eventually. And there it is. And so it shall be. If you're liking what you're hearing, let's go forward into the fall. And we're going to wrap up 1983 and move on to 1984 and into unknown territory for both Steve and I, for the most part, until later on. And then we're going to get into some real far out sounds from the fall and of varying quality, and it'll be so fun. And we look forward to doing it with y'all. So until next time, we are the fall.
We are the best.